Welcome to the SimpliSmart podcast, where automation meets innovation. Each episode dives into real-world strategies, success stories, and expert insights that help you work smarter, not harder.
Hi, I'm Ann Gustitus, Chief People Officer with SimpliSmart. I have Markika here with us.
Hello.
And I have Melanie Brown. And they are going to discuss women in tech. But before we dive into the details, can you both please share a little bit about your background and what you're currently doing?
Sure. A little bit about my background. I'm a graduate of Purdue University.
Boiler up.
That's right, boiler up. I've been in this industry since about 2005. So, I mean, I've worked in the gambit of government, federal government, Lilly, and just kind of all the way around. Extension, which is where I met Markika.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then decided to go back to school, wanted the global view, got the MBA, because I've always been a numbers person in finance. So, and right now I'm working with North Mechanical, which is a huge contracting company. They build some of the greatest buildings in this city. And it still amazes me that even with that being contracting and all the different, it's still the heart of what I'm doing is automation. So.
Mm-hmm. So I went to Purdue. My career started more as a business analyst, and then I quickly started realizing I really wanted to be more on the tech side, more of the doers of the super cool things and not just kind of getting the requirements. But I was in that field for, about 8-9 years. In the midst of that, I went back to school to learn programming. So I have an associate's in strictly in programming. My bachelor's was in business. And then I got a message, maybe 2013, 2014, that was like, hey, we're looking for someone that is a business analyst but is more interested in the tech side. We're doing this really new, cool thing, cutting edge. And that led me to Ascension, where their cutting edge thing was automation with this tool called Blue Prism. We were the first in the country to use that tool. And so that's how I got my start into the automation field. And then, since then I've done consulting, and now I'm here working with SimpliSmart. So
It's interesting just hearing how your paths have led you to automation. What should someone focus on if they want to grow from just different leadership roles?
I'm gonna let you handle that.
I think you have to be, forever curious, right? Your curiosity can't stop. I think that's what's helped me is that forever learning, right? There's always
lifelong learning.
Yeah, there's LinkedIn learning. I mean, there's so many different avenues you can go now. And if you're looking to make it to that next level, and especially if you have a tech degree, I would say go get that business degree, right? Because then you'll know the 100-foot level of why businesses do what they do, and financially what they're looking into, and not just your small little bubble of the tech. I mean, when I took my courses for the MBA, it taught me a lot of why business function the way they do. So when I go into the meeting, I can carry that in, right? I can carry my business logic, but I can also carry my tech logic, and I think that carries you a long way.
And before you got your MBA, you had been working for a while?
I had. So I had been working probably for about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And I had got my BS or whatever, and then I decided, I think I'm gonna go back. And I thought about, just getting a master's in computer, but then I said, you know what, at some point I wanna be in management, and I don't wanna be pigeonholed. Right, that's all I'm gonna be. It's in a little cubby somewhere,
Yeah.
programming or whatever.
Yeah.
And that just kind of led to that. Okay, well, I really want to know more about the business aspect, and that's how I got into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to women who are analysts, operations, or delivery roles and wondering whether they can move up into automation or AI?
So I think it depends on where they're trying to move. Like if they are still like, maybe they've been in operations, but they want to be like a director over tech, right? I don't think you need to be like hardcore tech person to be a director over tech. I do think you need to understand it enough to sit in a meeting and like know what they're talking about, you know, at a higher level. But I think there are certain parts of leadership, like in an organization, that becomes more, it's less hardcore tech. You're not coding, you're not doing anything tech. You're more so, you're managing people if you have direct reports. So that's a different skill set from doing the work, right? You need to know how, like, you need to know how to find the right people to do the things that you need to be done, which is a different skill than being you can come from tech, and if you can make that leap, that transition, you can then still be, but I think it's two different brains. So I would say if they're still trying to be in more like people management, then I think it's more like learning about what's the current technology landscape like, what strategically would drive your business, forward, right? I think if they were trying to get into tech, then like maybe as a more active space, because you can still be what they call like a leader in tech, but you're not managing people per se. Like you are just a senior architect, a senior, and then they have promotions, but it's just still different from the managing people path, right? I think then you need to like pick a niche, because there's so many different things that you can do in tech. I can't tell you how many people ask me like fix their computer or or like build a computer, and I'm like, I
don't do that.
I don't know how to do that. Or they ask me some networking question, and I'm like, so you can do so many different things. So if say they wanted to be an AI, then you maybe go get a certification in something specific in AI, because even in AI there's you can be a generalist, but I think in tech it pays to be a specialist in something. You can be a generalist about a lot of things, but then know a particular skill, and then that's your thing. That's my answer. So.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. There is so many routes, and if you want to move up, I think the first thing you have to know, especially if you're going to manage people, do you like managing people? Right. Okay. Right. Is that something you really, I'm just being honest, because I think I've had some managers who were good at the coding side, the architecture side, but when it came to the aspect of managing individuals, they were not the best. And then I've had vice versa, where they were good at managing people, but they didn't do their due diligence when it came to learning information about the tech. So you have to kind of be somewhere in the middle. I think again, that curiosity, right? You have to be able to manage the individuals and be okay with saying, I don't know, right? And having good people, Markika or others that work for you that may be a little more farther along in certain areas, and that's fine. Nobody says you have to be, you know everything in what you're doing, but be willing to say, I don't know, but I have good people who do know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My experience is people that are like solidly amazing at, like, say they're a coder, for example. They're amazing at it, one of the best. And then maybe the organization just doesn't have anything else to promote them in, but they know, like, we need to pay you more. And they're like, oh, we'll make you a manager. That has been interesting because they didn't make the switch. They're like, hey, now you're managing people, you're managing business strategy. Now they're just like, many micromanagers.
Yes.
You know, because like they know that, so now they're like really, you know, like, oh, why did you do this? Why is this period that way? Why didn't you? And I'm like, oh, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I've like observed, you know. And even Shonda on our team, and you work with Shonda, you know, I was asking him about it, and he was the first person that kind of made it a little bit more plain for me. He's like, well, if you're thinking about going into more like delivery lead, you know, director type stuff, he's like, you have to switch your brain from like project delivery type stuff and to more people, you know, management. And he's like, you know, you can do it, you know, but just know that you have to make that switch, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, that's right.
So what is one bold AI prediction you have for the next 3 to 5 years?
I think for me, the one that I keep pushing is that AI is going to be a tool, right? Right now, it's that new shiny toy that everybody is talking about. I think it's just like it was in the early 90s when the web came along, right? Everybody was, oh, we got to do something on the web designer. I think it's that buzzword, but I think eventually it's going to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're going to see it for what it is, which is just another tool to put in our tool belt. Just like all the rest of the development tools that we've been using. I think the hype is going to come down, and then we're really going to get to the heart of what we can really do with it.
Right. And like any piece of technology, I mean, it will continue to improve and to get better.
Right.
You know, there'll be more things you can do with it. But to your point, I think we'll like have its place for it.
Hi, I'm Ann Gustitus, Chief People Officer with SimpliSmart.
It's not quite there yet because I think we can't lose the human interaction piece. There are certain I think there's always going to be certain roles, certain jobs, certain things that people would just much rather engage with other people in.
You know, I just think it's going to have its place, right? I think about even it's used in hospitals. I mean, my mom was in the hospital, and they had a ring that they put on her finger so that they could keep track of her vitals or whatever. And it was AI related. And the nurse walked around with this little device on her hip where it was being fed from that ring. Now that, you know, that's where I think AI is really going, in those areas where it's going to be helpful. Now there are some areas where they're actually doing surgery with bots, you know, and I won't say what hospitals, where you can opt in or you can opt out. I had a knee done and I opted out. You know, I still wanted a human being to be there because, you know, in certain areas when it comes to like surgery and stuff, I still think that human touch, you know, is going to be the best thing.
Yeah. So, no, I agree with you. So, like, learning the best places, AI becoming a tool, you know, my prediction in the next 3 to 5 years, it probably won't be as scary as the dooms maker people. One of the things that my father always told me when I was younger is just like, always be adaptable, always be learning, being curious. And I think we'll be okay as long as we stay adaptable and curious and like evolve with, you know, like not try to like fight against the grain per se, just kind of evolve with the technology. And so I think I agree with you mostly that we'll find like a good balance between artificial intelligence and, you know.
And I think everybody's going to find their place in it. You know, everybody's not going to be in tech.
Yeah.
But AI is going to touch, and it's already touching everybody in a certain way. I mean, if you watch Netflix, you're being touched by AI.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got cell phones and you're using your GPS apps, you're being touched. So I think in every aspect, everybody's going to be touched. You just have to figure out how much and how much you want to be touched, right? So, and like Markika says, not go against the grain, right? Because it's coming no matter what. It's here.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that. So I have a friend who used to work for Google, or she worked for Google for a long, long time. To her, AI has been around for the last 20 years.
Mhm.
Like, we think, like, because it's more, like, it's more popular, they have the natural language now, so you can talk back to it and it sounds like you're talking or chatting with a person.
Mhm.
So, the last few years we're like, oh, it's this new thing. But for the people that have been deep in tech, artificial intelligence is just a different name for an algorithm, a generative algorithm.
That's right.
And it's been around for them for 20 years. So it depends on where you're at in tech. Because certain things, they're like, we're catching up. It depending on where you've been in tech, and so.
So what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self entering into this field that you've been in?
I can go.
Okay.
So, my younger self, I would have told myself the moment that you got bored at Purdue in an accounting class, which was probably more like your sophomore year, because freshman year is more general across the board, no matter what your major is. When you start kind of getting more in, you should have switched. Like, I think my younger self took a little longer to pivot, and I would tell my younger self to pivot quicker, because you have your whole life. Nothing is like the end game. So if you decide you're more interested in this, you get into that field and you're like, not really. Just go ahead and switch. Start changing your trajectory. And I think, like, I enjoy what I do today more than I have any other thing before, and I think I would have gotten here quicker in some way. Like, I knew I was always like into technology. If I was just like more curious, more not, I think I was scared to, like, I wanted to be like, oh, this is just the way you should do things.
Right.
I didn't want to switch, So I would tell my younger self, like, stay curious and follow your curiosity quicker, because even if you find out that's not where you want to be, you can always, like, nothing is final, right? So
I think I ditto everything you said, and then too, just don't be afraid to fail. Right? I fail all the time, but some of my greatest failures, like with the automation thing, like Markika said, that was just a whim. Back then with Ascension, I knew nothing about automation. It was just like, okay, well, maybe something cool. It may fail, it may go well, but whatever. I'm gonna give it a try. And it turned into something that was life-changing for my career. So I would say just be okay with it. If it works out, fine. But if not, you learn something even from your failures. So just keep going, and don't be afraid to try something different.
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna be in tech, you have to be willing to do that, because tech is constantly changing. You're constantly learning. Whatever you think you're expert in, 5 years from now, if you haven't continued to learn, you will no longer be an expert in it.
Right.
And so I think having that curiosity and having that, like, ever learning, aspect to your is going to benefit you in the long term, in technology for sure.
And I think the last thing I have to say is walk your own path, right? Because I think one of the reasons why I went off into veterinary medicine is because my entire family is in medical. And my mom was a nurse, my brother's a physical therapist, everybody is medical. So I'm thinking, I didn't want to do people medical, but I'm like, okay, this is a way that I can still do medical. But that really wasn't my path, right? So again, if I would have figured that out sooner, like what you said, I probably would have ended up in tech sooner. But it's okay, because it's a part of my journey, right? But just walk your own path. I think you can't do what your mom, your brothers, your uncles. You have to do what's best for you when it comes to career, because you want a career, not a job.
Right.
Thanks for listening to the SimpliSmart podcast. If you're ready to work smarter, not harder, visit SimpliSmart.io or our LinkedIn page to speak with a team member. See you next time.